So I finished Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday, and it's performed by Emily Ellet and Joshua Jackson. It's a duet narration, and this is the first time I had heard any of the work. So I had not read anything by Jenny before, and I had not heard Emily or Joshua in anything before. Obviously I had seen Joshua in things on the TV and the movies, but not listening. I was really surprised with the narration. I thought their voices of Emily and Joshua paired really well together, and it sounded so good. I don't know why it's taken me so long to listen to Emily, but I'm gonna need to listen to everything basically, because I just loved her performance. I loved how she performed the vulnerability of Rory, and how she was growing through her experiences and her thought processes and those vulnerabilities, and I thought that came across really well. I loved her kid voice as well. I thought it was fantastic. I'm normally a bit hit and miss when it comes to that sort of celebrity narration, but I thought Joshua did really well with this, and I think more people are going to want him on a romance book, because he sounded good. And I will say that from a production side, I did feel the duet was a little jarring at times. It worked a lot better when there was longer spells of narration than one line of dialogue, which isn't ideal what you want, but I understand the difficulties of getting that when it's not being recorded at the same time. But on the longer spells of narration, Joshua did really well of differentiating between the characters, and you were never kind of lost at who was who. And I thought it was great. So this book has a lot of heavy themes. There is grief, there is loss of a partner, there is loss of a parent, there is eating disorder talk, generally in past tense. There are panic attacks and panic disorders. There's a lot, but I think they're handled really sensitive. You know what I mean? Sensitively. Thank you, Kelly. They were handled really sensitively, and really felt that the author took the time to make sure they, covered the bases. It is low spice, so if that's, you're looking for something that's quick and sexy, this isn't going to be the book for you. It is a slow burn, and like I said, low on spice, and most of that is towards the end. I had two things that I did struggle with this book. One is the fact that Rory refers to Mike in his full name whenever she thinks about him, and it was cute to begin with, but by the end I was like, oh my god, if I hear his full name one more time. So that was a little frustrating for me. And another thing for me was all of the things, the grief, the trauma, the eating disorders, the panic attacks was all handled so well, and then it felt like they threw in, like, we need to make up an excuse there. We'll just say she's got a migraine. And as somebody that's a chronic migraine sufferer, I hate that it's used in that way. And it was wonderful to see, like, the people rallying around, making sure she's okay. But migraines are not something to joke about. They are not something to use as an excuse to get out of something. They are debilitating and can impact somebody's life quite drastically. And when later it's just referred to as a headache, I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. So I did struggle with that. But otherwise, I thought it was great. I did wonder about the timeline a little bit, because the character is a bit older. Rory's 29 and Mike is 35. But they originally meet when she's 16. And so I was a bit like, what? How did she not know he was older? I don't know. But the meet at 16, she then uses him as her boyfriend to get out of doing things, and she just tells everybody she's got a boyfriend, and it just happened to be this guy that she met. And so we fast forward 7 years. He walks into the dance studio with his daughter, and she's the teacher. He doesn't recognize her. She does recognize him. And she ends up being the nanny, and they build up a friendship, and that friendship progresses to more. And the way they handled that transition, I thought, was really well done as well. Yeah, I thought it was a really good read. I would read it again. And if you have not done an Emily Ellet book yet, you definitely need to